Hot Pursuit. 11th day of the Reap Moon, 1426. 13 days after the forge is ignited. There you are, my dear. Have you washed your hands? I have a gift for you. The young mouse's ears rose at the low voice as she entered the elegant parlor. She approached the mouse seated in the deep leather armchair and received a wrinkled flyer. Carefully, she smoothed it out on her leg and read, Progia family and friends massacred. In the years following the disappearances of Nazarah and then Marie Progia of Lias, all remaining members of the high-ranking mouse family, as well as several associates, have been found dead in widely varying circumstances. Corlissé believe that a single murderer is responsible. However, no suspects are yet to be identified. A reward of 1,000 ticks is offered for any information that leads to justice. Nazarah scanned her memory of the masked faces at the bottom of the page, paying close attention to the one labeled with her name. Her mask, though beautifully unique, was completely foreign to her. One paw rose to touch the mask she wore now and lift it from her snout. Instinctively, she registered the other pictures. Morden, did I? She rubbed her eyes, hoping they'd wash away the implication. My gift is the truth. It is the last one you will get from me. The Reynard stood, towering from the chair to lock his eyes into Nazarah's. All those years ago when I took you off these streets into my home, I knew who you were, even if you didn't. You could have lost your life when that cart hit you, but by fortune you lost just your memory, alongside blood. A lot of blood. Get to the point, Morden. Her body felt unusually rigid. Her fingers fidgeted against each other in the mask in her hand. Why the rush? It's not as if you have anywhere else to go, my dear. He tried to look into her eyes, hers refusing to stare back at him now. I hadn't thought about it before, but losing your past like that. Losing your past life almost. I'm nearly sympathetic. I'm all you have now, aren't I? All you have in all of Sarah. Just tell me what this means. The flyer whipped loudly, extending Nazarah's fevered tone as she waved it in Morden Mowbray's angular face. Not figured it out yet. Everyone who ever cared about you. He paused as their eyes finally met, expecting a hint of hesitation, but finding the flint-like facade of her mask instead. Morden sneered. Everyone. You unstrung their heartstrings and threaded them together like a crimson ball of yarn. It takes an obedient falcon to raid her own nest. But you did it well. He stopped, taking a step past her to stand by the thin window pane that let moonlight seep into the room. And now, I don't need you anymore. It was obvious, but Nazarah wasn't ready to believe it until she heard from Morden's punchable snout. He twisted to face her, a grin painted on it. I must be off. The Corlissé will arrive soon. I don't want to be lurking when they find you. Bowed under the window and dissipated into the night. Her fingers twitched toward the pouch strapped to her hip, but they hesitated too long. The blank faces on the parchment, even dead, blinded her. Faces that were once targets merged into a mother, a brother, a sister, godfather, friends. She'd been used, manipulated, and abandoned. The hammering of fists against the door to Mowbray's manor gave Nazarah her first target as a free mouse. Safety. To her, this singular purpose shoved away the noise and images of her victims so her legs could quit their quivering and move towards the window he'd escaped from. Her only escape route. Hunting loved ones through the streets of Lias had made her a very nimble Vera. Scaling the tiers and columns to the roof was to her as natural as a hop, skip, jump. From the northern tip of the manor, she could see the cityscape. A girl without a family would find herself in chains down there, or worse, like her. How many more had Morden used? Nowhere in the Silver States was safe. Nazarah turned on her heel and sprinted in the other direction, leaping from the clanking roof tiles onto the springy crown of a palm tree. She scurried down its rough trunk and heard the crack of the wooden doors which told her the Corlissé were off her trail for now. South of Lias, the ground was bare of cover for escape. All she could do was keep running, her only guide the remnant of an instinct. By dawn, Nazarah found herself on the main road and comfortable with the lead she'd established. Lias had just fallen behind the misty-hilled horizon, and El and Nin stood in full view on the other. The Corlissé, even with all their authority, would not follow her this far away from their jurisdiction. The gates of the outpost marked safety for Nazarah, and the moment she reached them, her body gave way to the sand. A border guard rolled her limp form to the side of the road to make way for caravans. Clawing their way across the sky, the dancing suns pelted the exhausted Vera with heat, forming a new mark on her mind: food and water. She fought to her feet, each step making her head pound. She dragged herself into the town, into its sole inn, where a small purse of Mowbray's money bought her a night's food and shelter. Luckily, ticks were accepted into Inn, but they wouldn't carry her much farther south. Even in the shadowed corner, Nazarah's dark outfit stood out among the desert dwellers in the half-empty hall. Back in the city, she was invisible. She could cut through alleys unseen. Better yet, it never showed her targets if she was sweating or bleeding. She couldn't remember the faces on the flyer, but something in Morden's last words told her he wasn't lying anymore. She knew they were her family. She was certain of it. And that was all she ever wanted from him. Nazarah's head slipped through her shaking paws. Feelings of futility and isolation rose in her core and trickled into the grooves of the tabletop. The outpost was silent in the afternoon. No one dared brave the heat without necessity. Nazarah lay in her rental bed, considering her course. It would be some time before the Silver States would be safe to her, but she needed answers. Morden's attempt at stripping her of hope had left her with one small hint: her family name. Her birth father was not among the faces and names burned into her mind. Somewhere out there, an old mouse by the name of Progia waltzed around with the secrets of her past. Maybe he could be dead. Then what? Is my old life worth hunting? The South yet called with the lure of a new life and the opportunity to leave her pains behind. But in the North lay the man threatening it. And this was another Lore of Aetherforged. If you enjoyed, feel free to like the video, leave a comment, or even subscribe to see more.